White County 911, what's the address of your emergency? I'm in DD, and birds are falling out of the sky again. Birds are falling out of the sky again? Not kidding. We got like 7 of them in the parking lot, and they keep falling.
Well, good morning and thanks for being with us. Today, county workers will start cleaning up what you're looking at right now. This is on Sarasota County beaches, covered with dead fish. There are eels, just a ton of marine life, and we're talking about fish by the thousands on the entire stretch of one of America's most beautiful beaches, Siesta Key Beach. And the county is bringing in heavy equipment to help clean up those beaches. Brightside's Emerald Morrow is down there right now for us. Emerald, just a disgusting sight, and I can't imagine the smell that you've been dealing with throughout the morning.
Yeah, Rob, it's pretty stinky out here, and it's just a mess. Really, as far as you can see, there are just nothing but dead fish, even some eel that are out here that are dead. Let me get to one that's closer right here. You can see it's really just not a place that you want to be if you're planning a beach day. This is not the beach to come to, nor is this the day. But let me give you a better look at some of the video that we have so that you can actually see how much of a mess it is out here. The water is very, very murky, and it's really lacking that beautiful blue and green that we're used to seeing at Siesta Key, and that's what really makes this area just so beautiful. Now, experts say they believe that elevated levels of red tide are to blame for all of the dead fish, and locals and tourists alike say this is really messing with that lovely beach experience that we all come here for.
This is the worst it's been. It's by far.
You're seeing it worse than you have in 10 years.
Never seen anything like this. And it's just killing off the fish, killing off everything.
It's terrible for the wildlife, and it makes the beaches unusable for us.
Yeah, absolutely unusable. I mean, this is not the day you want to come out here. You know, as beautiful as the sky looks, as beautiful as the water is, these dead fish are really going to get in the way of any type of beach experience that you have. So again, crews are going to be out here today, and what they're going to be doing is taking the time to assess and see if they actually need to bring out some big equipment to get all of these fish up and out of the way so that eventually you guys can come back out and enjoy, again, what is one of the most beautiful beaches in America.
It was another overcast and windy winter day in Draper when a not-so-normal thing happened.
As I was driving, these birds just were falling out of the sky.
Lacey Brown was one of the people who saw things firsthand.
They were all on the ground right around here and along the roadway. They were just falling out of the sky like leaves.
But they weren't leaves. They were hundreds of small birds called starlings. And like most birds, starlings like to flock.
You've seen that black cloud as it's flying all over the place. Well, that's a starling group, and they call that flying tandem or murmuring.
Experts say it's a technique they use to stay warm in the wintertime and to ward off birds of prey.
So what would cause hundreds of birds to fall from the sky? Some people are saying aliens. Others are saying maybe it was lightning or they were poisoned. But in this circumstance, none of those are the case.
No aliens, no cloaking device, no poison. It's just one of those freak things that the birds were just flying along, crashed into the side of a large vehicle, and boom.
Whether it be misdirection or weather-related, something caused the lead starling to crash, and thanks to the breed's tandem flying, the rest followed.
So I pulled over to help because I noticed some of them were not dead.
Lacey says she saw one man shoveling the birds out of the road. Draper Animal Services was also there clearing the animals and collecting the ones that were still alive.
Yeah, it was not a sight for the faint of heart.
In Indonesia tonight, the horror of that deadly earthquake and tsunami. In fact, this evening, a piece of video and the sound now, the moment the earthquake strikes. ABC's James Longman making it to the center of the devastation.
Tonight, new video showing the terrifying moment that magnitude 7.5 quake struck Sulawesi Island. The earth ripping open, massive rivers of mud flowing. Today, we journeyed into devastated rural communities.
We've heard that there's a group of kids who were killed in their Bible group at a church up this street, but as you can see, it's basically impossible to drive on.
Motorbikes, the only way to make it in.
So we've come to the end of the road now, literally. The church that was here, the homes, the community that was here, all gone.
Emergency teams discovering the bodies of at least 35 children at that Bible camp. We met 27-year-old Inika, telling me she was near the church when the mud flow picked her up and swept her nearly 2 miles into another village, holding on to a coconut tree to survive.
There is growing desperation among Indonesians who survived the devastating earthquake and tsunami. The death toll has risen to more than 1,400. Recovery and rescue efforts are intensifying across the island of Sulawesi. Last night, President Trump spoke with Indonesia's president and offered to send aid. Ben Tracy is in the middle of the disaster zone in Palu, Indonesia. Ben, good morning.
As if things could get any worse here, a volcano erupted on this very same island today. Now, authorities say so far that does not require any sort of evacuations, but even the threat of that has added insult to considerable injury. This is where the tsunami's nearly 20-foot high wall of water hit Palu. Barely anything is left standing. The water also destroyed something that can never be rebuilt. Aldiani lost 5 of her family members, including her father and mother.
I lost my family. I very love you. I very love him. Lost her. I very love her.
Aid is not arriving fast enough, and basic supplies are quickly running out. So we were just driving by this gas station and we saw this. Hundreds of people are camped out here with their gas cans, hoping to get them filled up. At the front of the line was this man named Ari. He sat here through the night, only to find out there won't be any fuel arriving today. How hard is it to live in this town right now for you?
I don't know, maybe it's chaos.
The sheer scale of this disaster seems more overwhelming. We want people who are watching this in the United States or other places to know about what's happening here.
We need your help, please, people from all around the world.
People here are starting to get angry about how the Indonesian government is handling the response to this disaster. But one piece of good news, the Red Cross tells us that a ship full of supplies should arrive here on Friday.
In March 2011, the world watched in awe and horror as a colossal tsunami ravaged eastern Japan. The result of a 9.0 magnitude earthquake. Entire cities were washed away. Millions stranded without power or water. 15,000 died. It was an otherworldly event, thousands of miles away. Thank goodness, many of us thought. It couldn't happen here. But it could happen here. In fact, scientists say it's a question of when, not if, a devastating earthquake, followed by a huge tsunami, strikes the continental United States, right here in the Pacific Northwest.
This would be like 5 or 6 Katrinas all at once, up and down from California to Canada would be the closest thing I can think of.
It may sound like a Hollywood disaster movie.
I see it!
But it's not. In fact, his research shows much of the region is overdue for a major quake. The last one was back in 1700, long before there were large cities right in harm's way.
If it happens anytime soon, it would just devastate the area.
Goldfinger estimates there's a 1 in 3 chance the quake will strike sometime in the next 50 years.
Would you say that we're prepared for something like this?
We're not completely unprepared, but we're pretty darn close. On a scale of 1 to 10, we're probably a little shy of 1 at this point.
This is Ground Zero, the 700-mile-long area off the Pacific coast called the Cascadia Subduction Zone, where the North American tectonic plate meets another plate known as the Juan de Fuca.
The dark image we're seeing here is literally sliding under the lighter image.
That's right. So they're converging but still stuck. And so what happens is the weaker plate, which is North America, buckles
And eventually, something's going to give. So the coastline that's been jacked up over 500-ish years or so is going to drop about a meter in about a minute or so.
And that's just the earthquake. Next, as we saw in Japan, comes a tsunami, with waves as high as 50 feet roaring on shore, reaching miles inland. It's a threat the government says it's taking seriously. But
is FEMA ready for the big one?
I would never say we are ready.